I've been seeing us this whole time.
Okay, well then I'm starting the show.
Let's
Hey
start it.
everybody, welcome to the program. They just couldn't hear us, is why I was asking you. I thought I had it on. I thought I had it on the other thingy, on the hang in there, baby. Welcome to the show, sports program, Sunday show this week, weekend show is probably what we should just start calling it.
It's just the weekend show.
It will be on Sundays until NFL starts, though. We're gonna enjoy the rest of our summer, and by that I just mean doing stuff.
Yep.
So Saturdays is kind of hard for that. But once NFL starts, that means kind of summer's over anyways. So
Right.
it doesn't really matter anymore.
Well, and there's been a bunch of events on Saturdays. Like there was like the third straight week of UFC in a row on a Saturday last night, and there's preseason football, which is like every day but Sunday right now.
Yep.
And then which has been fantastic, and I can't wait to talk about that. At one point in the show, I think we should ride the one week in overhype train on the rookie quarterbacks.
Oh,
I'm really thinking about that because that's already happening, and it's fun to do, and I don't care if it's not accurate and people it's not a good representation.
No.
But some people looked good. Some people looked bad.
There's also some fun stuff too. Remember, I sent you that video on Instagram of Baker Mayfield shotgunning the beard, and
that's been the real story of the offseason.
Yeah,
it's just Baker Mayfield and all of his new hijinks. There's going to be Baker Mayfield hijinks for a very long time, I believe, because I will finally admit the dude is probably here to stay.
Do you know what though? Here's the thing about the hijinks. Is he could take them 8-8 every single year from here on out. I don't want to go too much into the Browns today because that is not the division we are covering today.
No, but we will. We
will. But I will say, before we get too much into anything, he can go 8-8 for his whole career, and I'm going to look at it as a success because he's doing something in Cleveland that has not happened in a really long time. And by God, he's just making their fans excited.
It's just a new level of hype. I mean, we also have people like our buddy Sean Walters, who now has a second home with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and I like that. I think it's fun that it's cool that he went to the game. Went to the Indians game, and he's wearing a Lindor jersey, and it's cool.
He's on board. He's on the team. He's on the Cleveland team.
Yeah, and he's embraced that. Which is pretty smart of him because, really, with LeBron James gone, he really has an opportunity to kind of step in there as, the
new king of Cleveland.
Their dude. So
the new king of Cleveland.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That also just highlights, I think, why so many people love the NFL, and that is because, let's look at the NBA, for example. Let's look – you can even look at Major League Baseball to a degree. The players are just a little quieter about it, but in the NBA, as a Spurs fan, I will always be worried that our great young player doesn't want to play there anymore.
Yeah.
And they will find a way to go to whatever city that they're either from or want to go to. And yes, they do embrace the city from time to time, as long as they are there. But the second they have an opportunity to leave, they're gone. In the NFL, it just seems like Aaron Rodgers, he made Green Bay, Wisconsin his home. You know? He's not like, I went to the University of California. I got to get back to California. They make whatever team they get drafted by their home for the most part.
Yeah.
There's some situations where almost you go to a big market and you want out. Look at Odell Beckham. He went to New York, and it almost seems like he would have rather been in Cleveland.
Yeah. And I think he's gonna enjoy it too over there. They seem to have a good chemistry right now.
I agree. I think and here's what's crazy about that game the other day. Baker Mayfield didn't have either of his two best quarterback or receivers because they didn't play, and he still went out there and looked absolutely perfect.
Yeah, he looked
I'm not going to overhype him right now.
No.
I don't want to get too far into it, but he will be a part of this game. Well, maybe I'll leave him out.
I love the mustache stuff.
We're going to play a little game.
I love the mustache stuff. That's funny.
Oh,
that's
me
fun.
too. There's been a couple people who've done it at work as well, and I'm like, man, do I want to do that? But then I remember every time that I've ever done it, You always
Yeah.
have to like leave yourself a mental note or just like put something in your cell phone being like, hey, you're going to see people do mustaches. It's going to look cool on them.
Yeah.
Don't do
That's
it.
like a friend of a mutual friend of ours, Jeff. He posted a picture of himself on Instagram, and I said, I can't remember what I commented on it, and he said he looked, he said something about him looking bad, but he's rocking the beard. And I commented and said, hey, don't knock yourself, something like that. I'm like, I thought he looked really good in the picture. And then he was like, it's really bad lighting, it's shit. He's like, it's really bad lighting, my beard, it's just shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. But in the lighting, it looked great. Like, he looked great in the picture. I was like, hey, man, you should keep rocking that beard. But maybe
Because
Jeff.
he usually rocks just the mustache solo.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised that he had a beard.
Uh-oh. Is that from your end or my end?
That's mine.
Okay. I was like, I don't even own a fire alarm.
If we take showers that are too steamy, that thing goes off.
Oh, man. Do you do the trick where you just take a towel and you just flap it in front of it? That's what I do.
I punch it. No, I
actually rip it out from the ceiling every time and buy a new one.
I have a poking stick that I hit it with. Though, that's actually true. I do have a poking stick.
We could talk about it after the show, but I was going to say the last thing that is also occupying Saturdays is college football starts before NFL starts.
Yes.
So there will also be that. So just one more reason for us to probably do Sunday shows up until hand.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I'll start incorporating it on this show, but I have started to make pretty, I wouldn't call them excessive, maybe just extensive fantasy football lists for people to read as far as steals coming up for people's upcoming drafts, busts.
That's awesome.
For people's upcoming drafts. I'll give a little bit of a sample.
Good.
Actually, I will wait for our football segment later because some of my steals will be on the teams that we will be discussing. Oh. So I will wait. I will keep it together. I want to bitch about something at the beginning of the show today.
Okay.
I heard Steve-O on my favorite sports podcast, Ariel Helwani's Awesome Show. Is it Awesome Show? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's Ariel Helwani's sports MMA show is what it is.
Long title.
He had Steve-O on, which is weird. Usually he just has, like, people right after they fought. So, like, on a Monday, he'll bring in who fought on Saturday. But he brought in Steve-O a couple weeks ago. And Steve-O was complaining about the exact same thing that I am noticing as well. ESPN Plus, for the fights, I don't get to watch all the fights live. Some of the fights, if they're an ESPN Plus card, I'll watch them right before we do our show on Sundays. That way I can talk about them. So I went to do that today. I didn't even watch them, and here's why. He pointed this out. When you go to watch something on ESPN Plus that's already occurred, it shows the results in the picture, like in the thumbnail.
Like the thumbnail is like someone's arm getting held up.
Yeah. If you go to watch a fight, literally the thumbnail is who won the headliner. Like
that's
literally
no
them winning it or holding up the belt.
That's like going to watch Endgame and seeing a picture of Thanos dead or something.
It would be like if you went to go watch SummerSlam tonight and they showed who's holding the belt in the picture of SummerSlam. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the result of what you want to see.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's just like, why would I watch this now? So
yeah, they need to fix that.
And it's been that way since they've taken it over. I got a huge gripe with it. It's making sports not fun.
Yeah, I don't want to.
We should be watching sports live anyways. I get it, but sometimes you can't.
No.
And that's why that app exists. Like, isn't that supposed to be the functionality of it, that you can go back and rewatch events?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to watch anything live that you wanted to watch, but that's why like DVR even existed in the first place.
It's like, here's another good example. It's like when you go to watch an episode of Game of Thrones on like the HBO Go or Now app. It would be like the thumbnail for the final episode is Dany getting stabbed in the heart.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thumbnail. They're like, would you like to watch the final episode of Game of Thrones? And you're like, well, not now.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks for telling me what happens.
If you made it to that point anyways, you probably didn't want to watch it regardless.
Yeah, that's what I hear the majority of people was. I'm just glad they're not doing another season of it. But this isn't the Game of Thrones podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it more than everyone else did that I've ever talked to about it. But
Yeah.
uh,
I just thought it was
everyone else
rushed.
explained, and I was like, I think it's great.
I just thought they should have done about 5 more episodes. I think about 5
Yeah, just have
more.
a regular length season.
Yeah, I think they could have. I mean, they even could have. Okay, real quick. I'll say my only gripe was that I just think they could have given us a few more episodes where we see Danny slip more into the
Turning.
turning into the Mad Queen. Instead, they kind of went like WWE, circa 1990s, where you're a good guy one week and then you just turn into the bad guy.
Right.
And it was like,
No
what?
build to it at all.
Yeah, I want a slower
Like,
burn on that.
yeah, they're like, you know how we kind of implied this one time?
Yeah.
Well, it happened, and 2 episodes later, it's over.
Otherwise,
So-
I thought the season was fine. I just really think they could have even just 2 more episodes because it was 6.
Yeah.
So 2 more episodes. You could have had 2 more episodes of her, of a couple different things happening that would make her lose her shit. And then
Right, and there could have been a little more tension between her and John beforehand, too.
yeah, then you do it. Then
But whatever.
whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. So today we're going to talk about the NFC and AFC West.
And
And we are also going to talk about SummerSlam card, which is coming up today. That starts at like 3 or 4 p.m. Pacific time. So
yeah, basically, I think we're going to get off of this and then just basically
start getting ready to watch that.
get ready for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I'm going to be watching it down here. I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'll be watching
I know
it.
you're stoked. You got me stoked.
Oh man, the card is so good, and there's so many good wrestlers on it. So while we do usually talk here and there wrestling on this show, today will probably be a little heavier as it is SummerSlam, and this is actually like the 1-2 punch of the big ones for WWE. It'd be like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and I would say Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank.
A lot of people used to say Survivor Series, but I don't think so.
I'm a Money in the Bank guy.
Money in the Bank
that's
is
my favorite event.
Yeah, it's the best one. It's the most dangerous and scary looking one. Even more so than TLC, which is kind of lame now. Tables, ladders, and chairs. It's all right.
Right.
Money in the Bank's way better.
It had its place for a while, though.
Plus, you get the cash in. Nothing comes of TLC, but Money in the Bank, you get the cash in. So, at some point. Okay.
That's up.
So, AFC, NFC East, West. Jesus Christ.
West. I know it's going to be hard because we discussed maybe doing both
I
today.
know. But what out of the gate here, I'll talk about that. I did watch Hard Knocks.
Okay.
They're letting us. It's kind of cool. They're doing exactly what they did last year, where they're showing Hard Knocks, and then you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch the full episode on YouTube.
I did not know that.
Not even like poorly. Like you can just go on and watch it. On several different ways too. Like several different channels have it on there, and they don't take it down. I don't think they get in trouble for it. It's just on there. So if you don't have HBO, you can go watch it. First episode, a couple of key things to take away. Was David Carr, and his relationship with John Gruden. It still would seem we're gonna go with Carr as like our main, or Derek Carr, not David Carr. Why would I know? Why would I not know his name? Derek Carr, David Carr, Derek Carr. Anyway, still looking like he's going to be the guy for now. For that team, he's gonna be the quarterback for now. At least that's how it appears on the show. He's still healthy. They've added some more people around him now, though. Obviously, they got Antonio Brown. We'll talk a little bit more about
Maybe.
that. On the episode, one of the things I thought was interesting was Antonio Brown showing up for the first, like practice week, and his little kids are there with him, and his little kids are like, "Where's Roethlisberger? Where's?"
Oh my God.
They're so confused. They have no idea what team he's playing for. She's like, "Where's and like little kids, and they're like, "Where's Roethlisberger?" And he's like, "Roethlisberger isn't here. He's in the Steelers." He's like,
He can't save us anymore.
He's like, "We're in Oakland." So I thought right away, I was like, oh man, that's sad.
That is
The
sad.
kids know Ben. So there was
Well, they yeah.
that. Um, I thought that was super interesting. Um, did you watch Last Chance U?
I watched, I think, a season and 2 seasons of it.
Do you remember a player from the show named Ollie? He was kind of a fan favorite. He's a lineman.
Yes.
He was on the first episode of Hard Knocks as a Raider, getting his chance to play.
Yep.
And as soon as he was on, they show some stuff with him being on there, and then like that, he's not on there anymore. He got cut.
First episode?
Yeah, first episode.
Wow.
Thought we'd get more out of that, But I guess he wasn't working with the trainers the way he needed to, and so John cut him. So there was that. One of the other notable pieces of this team is, of course, Richie Incognito is a Raider.
Oh, yeah, yep.
He's a Raider. Richie Incognito's a Raider. So that's interesting. They had a big part in the very beginning, where it was not talking to Richie Incognito, but it was John Gruden, who was like, hey, if you want to have the rookies singing the fight song, if you want to have them doing stuff like that, that's going to be fine. He's like, I don't tolerate hazing, so no hazing. I mean, he was just like, nip it in the bud. And they hadn't even shown Richie Incognito yet. And I was like, isn't Incognito on this team? I mean, that's what he initially got in trouble for in the beginning, right? Was hazing, harassing, bullying.
What a jerk.
They show the guy, though, and he honestly seems like he's trying to be a good person, which is good.
I'm sure on camera everyone's trying to be.
God, that dude is huge, man.
Oh, he's a big dude.
He's just he's a monster. So
he's a real beefcake, yeah.
Yeah. So he's on there. They had that draft pick. I can't remember his name. He's a safety? First round draft pick, and he wanted to be tackling. He's not wearing pads yet, and he just wants to hit somebody. And they keep talking about that in the episode, how he just wants to lay someone out. And John Gruden has to continually be like, hey, don't lay these people out. These are your teammates. But he's a young kid, and he wants to make an impact, like physical impact,
Right.
And then they have a few veteran defensive players talking to John. And he's like, oh yeah.
Are you talking about? It's like Jonathan Abram.
Yep, that's who it was.
One of their first round draft picks. Yeah.
That's who it was.
State.
Yeah. So he wants to hit him. He's also very funny too. I think when you watch it, you're gonna like him. He's a likable dude.
Is John Gruden as made for TV as I would expect?
He looks like they're filming Friday Night Lights. He looks and sounds like they're filming Friday Night Lights. I want everyone to remember that John Gruden, I'm pretty sure he is from Ohio. And somehow, over the course of his lifespan, has developed a Southern accent as a coach.
And never being in the South.
Never having lived in the South or have been from the South. Somehow, he has developed a Southern accent, as a coach. It's so weird to watch on TV. The show, I'll say Hard Knocks this season, with John Gruden, is more interesting than Hard Knocks was last year with the Browns, because of their coach was kind of boring. But
agreed. I think we all know last season's Browns would have been more interesting if they would have done it midway through the season.
Remember before they announced they were going to do the Raiders, remember you and I both said that we thought it would be cool is if for the first time ever they do Hard Knocks with the Browns season 2.
Right.
I thought it would have been cool to take what they did last year and show us some of the aftermath and show us some of the changes and what they're working on. I would have loved to have seen Odell Beckham come into the mix, and that's the team I want to watch in Hard Knocks. And I thought it would be cool to have a season 2 where they went 8 and what it was at 8 and what are they about? Were they about 500? Well, they're 8-7-1, right? Is that what they were?
Oh yeah, that's right. They had a time.
Right. So
Good point.
that would have been a cool show. I think the Raiders are still interesting. I don't know how they're gonna do, and that'll play into our conversation today. Because
I
I
guess
still
technically they
don't
would be
know.
7-8-1.
Is that what it
would
was?
technically
7.
be.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
7, 8, and 1. That's right.
And I will keep these open for when we do this season. That way we have a reference of how the teams did last year.
Okay.
So we can kind of look at it that way. And I think this is a good segue,
Yeah,
honestly.
let's start it.
We can start with the Raiders.
Let's start with the Raiders.
Yes, I understand that they're going to sell the Derek Carr thing on TV. I feel like that's a smart play, right? Like, John Gruden's not going to look like a jerk.
No.
He is going to kiss Derek Carr's butt as long as the cameras are on. We don't know if that's who he actually wants. But I will say this in defense of Derek Carr. Yes, he is no Ben Roethlisberger and never will be, but this is a dude who they paid a good amount of money to a couple years ago because he looked great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's only a couple years removed from having a very good season, and remember, he got injured, so the team fell apart in the playoffs. But we thought that team with Derek Carr a couple years back was a playoff contender, or at least I did before he got hurt. Yeah. So it's crazy how a couple of years can really just like paint this new narrative. Like, all of a sudden he's just not any good. I don't know if any of that's true. I will say they had a very good draft. I think it's still ultimately the end of the day. It's pretty stupid that to have that very good draft, they had to trade away 2 100% we know how good they are players.
Yeah.
So why take a risk in a draft when you already know, like, have the guys that are, I don't know. But
well, and then they're having issues with who are they having? So the Chargers are having issues, right? They with who?
Is Bosa hurt?
Well, someone's holding out. Who's holding out?
Well, yeah, Ingram. Yeah, Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon's holding out still, right? Or
Absolutely.
Did he decide he was coming back, right? Well, and we got a few holdouts too. They, we got Ezekiel Elliott also, and all sorts of people are.
I don't think that the Melvin Gordon holdout is that big of a deal. So this is how I look at the AFC South, in my opinion. Last year, the Raiders were in last place. I do not think that changes, although it's basically a coin flip between them and the Broncos, in my opinion, on who's going to be the bottom. And that's not necessarily because I think either team is that bad. I think the Raiders have a lot of young talent. I think Denver has defensive talent, and I guess we'll see what their offense is with Joe Flacco.
Okay.
They'll honestly be better. They were a 6-win team last year. I kind of have them as a 6-win team this year. But more than anything, it's a compliment to the fact that the Chargers and Chiefs are both going to be back. Neither team is. They were both 12-win teams last year. Yeah. One of them will probably be a 12-win team this year, and the other one will probably win 10 or 11 games.
I also see the Chiefs having learned from some mistakes last year. I think we'll see their defense improve. I think we'll see them having learned from their experiences in the playoffs. So you can see the Chiefs be a lot better, I think, this year. And they were good. I just think after, especially, going into overtime and then just not even having a chance because they couldn't stop New England.
Yeah, I mean, if we went back to last year,
you could see some growing pains from that.
But couple things on them. Huge break knowing that Tyreek Hill is for sure coming back.
Yeah.
I think their offense won't miss a beat. They played most of last year, right, without Kareem Hunt, so that there's no change there. I think they have like the running back situation completely squared away. Although, and I do want to get into this just a little bit for fantasy talk. It's that I don't know for sure if Damian Williams will stay the guy in Kansas City for the entire year. I think he is the guy right now, and I think he had a fantastic end of the year as far as fantasy football goes. But I don't know if in real life he is going to be the guy who carries the football the entire season. So that'll be interesting. That'll be fun. It's kind of the same with the Chargers. It's like, well, with this whole Melvin Gordon situation, who's going to be the guy? Like, who's going to be carrying the football at the beginning of the year when the year starts? I ultimately think it will be Melvin Gordon, but
Did
that's an interesting situation.
did Gates retire or did he return for one more?
So this is officially, I believe, the what is it, Hunter Henry
Yeah.
show at this point.
Yeah.
Uh,
But Gates didn't
so
retire though.
I thought he was retired.
Did he
I
retire?
mean, whether he's retired or not, it's Hunter Henry all the time
Yeah.
now. Like he's probably.
I loved
I
seeing
mean,
Gates out there last year though. In
but
the
we have the
few.
big three, right? We have
Yeah.
the big three at running or at tight end.
Yeah.
So he's right outside of the big three, I believe. Like Hunter Henry is like the guy.
Yeah.
I don't care if Antonio Gates played football again. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
If Hunter Henry stays healthy, he is going to be the dude this year.
Yeah. It was just fun
That
to
offense is
see.
going to be awesome.
Gates had a fun. I mean, he just had such a fun play last year. I mean, it was like one or two really good ones, but he had that one play where he caught it and ran out. He didn't have to run out of bounds, but he ran out of bounds, and they show him and he ran into the opposite team's side, and they show him talking to the team, and I thought that was what I was so charming about him. He's just like, I didn't want to get hit. Like he was just. And he's old, he's old. He's not running like he used to. So he caught it and got out of bounds, got the first. But he did not. He could have kept going probably for a little bit.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he was like, no, nope. And the team was like talking to him, like joking around with him, like
Right.
Like they knew exactly what he did and why he did it. I thought that was fun. I like it when they'll banter, and it's not like a negative thing. It was just like they just knew what old Papa Gates was doing.
Well, when Antonio Gates came back, it's like he came back for one reason and one reason only, and that's to catch touchdowns in the end zone. Like he doesn't want to catch the football in the middle of the field and run with it.
And I wonder that's and not in the same. I'm wondering if that's where Jason Witten's brain is at too. I don't think he's gonna be wanting to do a ton of stuff down the field either. I think he's gonna want to be wanting to catch some touchdowns and thank God he's out of the booth, so I don't care. But, no. So to kind of parrot, I know it will kind of parrot what you're saying, but I really do think the bottom two will be between the Raiders and the Broncos, and I think it's pretty easy to see that it was going to be between the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Yeah, and so like I said, the Chiefs caught a huge break with Tyreek Hill coming back with like no suspension at all.
Right.
And so him and Kelsey and obviously they went and drafted a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Changed up their defense. They're not even playing with the same, like formation, defense coordinator. Everything's been changed there. It'll be interesting to see what this like revamped defense does for them. If it makes a huge difference. If it does, they have potential to be the best team, not only in the division but in the AFC. But just part of me feels like me and you both thought last year was the Chargers' year.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
No.
And I think that they had some bona fide injuries that got in the way of that. But
yeah,
I still feel like this year could be their year.
I think it could be their year. I'm less hot on it than I was last year. Only
right,
because
but these
of
still
that.
could be the two best teams in the AFC, let alone being in the same division.
Yeah. And likewise, what about some NFC action? We got to talk about that. And I think it's rightfully so that we begin talking about the returning Super Bowl losers, and of course you got the Battle of LA there with them and the Chargers.
Let's not jump on the Battle of LA again this year.
No, it's not going to happen. No,
we were close. No, we were close.
We were
last
close.
Year with
Yeah,
the Battle
we were
of LA
close.
call.
I
but
will
it didn't
say.
Happen.
So for the NFC, well, we got the Seahawks, Rams,
49ers, Cardinals. This is how it went last year. Cardinals 3-13, 49ers 4-12. Pretty bad.
Of the four teams, I'm the most interested to see what the Cardinals are going to be doing. With Kyler Murray and their coach, Cliff Kingsbury, right? I'm most interested to see what they got going on. Also, I believe Fitz is back too. He's still playing. They kept him, or he stayed. I guess they would have kept him either way, but he is staying. So that's kind of cool. So there's I'm the most interested to see what they have going on. Um, I think the Rams could have a slump this year.
Agreed.
Uh, they tough loss. That was a tough loss. I still think they should feel good with Jared Goff in there. I still think their GNC owner of a coach is great. I just think that it would be really easy for them to have a slump going into this year. So with that said, I'm going to say that the Seahawks are probably going to win that division this year. Win that little conference division. I think the Seahawks could win it. The Seahawks had a pretty good ending of their season, only to be suffered by having like a fossil of a kicker out there. Not that I have anything against him, but God, do you remember watching that game? And it was just like, oh man. And what's funny is before he went and kicked, I was texting my buddy Patrick, who's a Seahawks fan, and we're both just like, man, he just doesn't even look like he belongs out there. And then of course he goes to kick it and tore a hammy. And I was like, oh man, that's just like what a perfect ending for what we just said for a kind of a joke, just kind of roasting him a little bit, because he just looked like an older guy out there. And they did exactly what like he made his own punchline with pulling a hammy.
Right.
But really, the Seahawks had a pretty decent little season last year. They pulled it. They pulled it out.
I think they'll do great.
They pulled it out, and their defense looks a lot better. And Russell Wilson's not having to do as much work. They've gotten him some good pieces in there. I think the Seahawks could take it again. I think they could finally be back in a position where you could see them take that division. I'm still not sold that they would be a Super Bowl contender.
But maybe a playoff lock, though.
Yeah. I think if they were going to play a team like if they get to the playoffs and they're playing a team like Carolina, I would take them over Carolina. If they were playing a team like Green
Carolina's
Bay.
not sniffing the playoffs this year.
If they're playing a team like Green Bay, I think I'd probably take them over Green Bay.
Also, don't think they're sniffing the playoffs this year.
I don't either. I'm just listing teams that have been to the playoffs that Seattle has had struggles with in the past.
Yes.
Now, the most intriguing of those teams, not to be confused with being the most interested in the teams. I'm most interested in what Arizona is going to have going on. But the most intriguing of those teams, though, to me, is the 49ers.
Agreed, because we still don't know what they are with the way
they
suffered injuries last season.
I have no idea what that team is. No one knows what that team is. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't know what that team is.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo knows what that team is. I think this is a two-horse race, like the other one is. But the Rams are going to suffer because, I mean, it's just historically that's what happens. You lose the Super Bowl, you don't make the playoffs the next year. I mean, it happens time and time again. The only team that's really ever lost the Super Bowl and bounced back the next year is the New England Patriots, and that's because they bounce back every year no matter what. But teams don't, like, historically lose the Super Bowl and then come back and make the playoffs again the next year. The Falcons did it.
Falcons did it.
They came back and made the playoffs, but they were a shell of the team they were with Kyle Shanahan, which brings us to the 49ers.
Right.
Kyle Shanahan now has Tevin Coleman at running back, fantasy steal. That's my fantasy steal of this side of what we're talking about, the NFC West.
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman with Kyle Shanahan, with Garoppolo. If their receiving core stays healthy, that's awesome. And obviously they got the Kittle man.
Yeah.
Who's going to make it rain this year. I think he's probably... I actually think that Kittle will have a better year than Ertz and Kelsey. I think he's my number one currently. And then obviously like Hunter Henry being fourth.
Can I throw one in the mix?
You can throw one in the mix.
I think we see a big season, and I have a bias here, but I think we could see a big season from Vance McDonald this year. Vance McDonald, no Antonio Brown on that team anymore. They went to him a good amount last year. I think he gets more touches this year now with it being Juju Smith-Schuster and Switzer and Connor. I think you can see. I think Vance McDonald could be an unsung hero of that team right now of Pittsburgh.
Well, he's definitely in that like second or third tier of tight ends
Yeah.
for sure. Like he's there with like the Kyle Rudolphs and stuff of the world.
They still got Jesse James too, man. Pittsburgh still has Jesse James.
But here's the deal, though, is like if you get one of those big three, that's like above and beyond because you're getting a tight end that gets you wide receiver one numbers every week. So that's just a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But agreed, though. I do think he's going to have a big year, and I'll be excited to talk about that Pittsburgh Steeler offense.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about them and the Browns.
Because
who would we take with them too? What NFC would we take with them?
The NFC East, so then we would be talking Giants, Redskins,
That's
Eagles,
right. Which I'm also
Cowboys,
very interested in.
Who you'll probably develop a theme over this 4-week time period until the season starts, where it's a lot of 2-horse races.
Yeah.
Because Ravens are going to slump. Like, let's be real. Little forecasting to next week. We're going to talk about the Ravens slumping probably. We're going to talk about the Bengals still. I mean, they're in that permanent lifetime slump.
Yeah.
Of just never being that good.
Yep.
And then it's going to come down to the Browns and Steelers.
Which is
and then on the other side, it's going to come down to
but it's crazy that you're saying that out loud.
Yep, I know. Yeah, times have changed. And then it'll obviously probably come down to the Cowboys and the Eagles. But I think that's going to be the case for years to come with their young offensive situation and young defensive situation for the Cowboys. But anyways, back to today.
Oh yeah.
Back to today. I think the Cardinals will improve. They have a good defense. They have David Johnson, who I have as like a fantasy 1 or a 2 now. I think he's going to have a huge year because Kyler Murray is going to check down to him all day, every day. So the Cardinals will win more than 3 games. I truly believe that. 49ers will win more than 4. So this could be one of those divisions where at the end of the year we see a lot of teams with slightly above or slightly below 500 records, right?
Yeah.
Last year we had, what division was that? The NFC East, so we'll be talking about next week. Cowboys won 10, Eagles won 9, Redskins won 7. I think we have a similar situation this year because I think the Seahawks and 49ers can both win 10 games.
Yeah.
So then I think the Rams and the Cardinals are going to be somewhere between that 7, 8, 9 win type of situation. So this will be one of those divisions where no one has an overall very bad record.
Yeah.
It'll be a bunch of teams in the middle. To say the opposite, what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about the AFC West, I think that's the opposite. I think 2 of those teams, probably the Raiders and the Broncos, are
under
500. 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah. Well under 500.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, yeah.
Yeah, I think, or another division would be the AFC South from last year. What was it? Texans 11, Colts 10, Titans 9. It's going to be a close division. I think this might be the division that kind of surprises people where near the end of the year, we really don't know until
Well, as we get into your game that you want to play, and we just talking quarterback talk, but that's one of the biggest things I've been waiting to talk about on the show anyway, is just how many different quarterbacks have went to different teams now, and some of those could be awesome. I mean, I think the Jaguars got a steal. I think...
I agree. That's going to be a whole new team.
I think the Jaguars got a steal. Honestly, I know, from what I've been reading, it's not a big popular opinion. I do think that Josh Rosen does get the starting position eventually. I think that Josh Rosen fits in really well in Miami, and I think he'll do well there.
I agree. I already did it because I've been so lazy about it for about 6 months now. I haven't done a Friday 5. I already have the Friday 5 done for next week.
Oh, good.
And it is on that QB class from last year.
Cool.
I am re-ranking them because I did it this time last year, where I ranked those 5 quarterbacks: Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson, the whole group, all the way up to Baker Mayfield. I will admit I did not give Baker Mayfield as much love as I could have last year. I was I was hating. I was a part of the Baker
Sure.
Mayfield hate crew. I was riding the Josh Allen train way too heavy.
I'm still not
I've
gonna
revamped.
cut. I'm still not gonna cut Josh Allen out yet, though.
No, but you see, here's the deal. Group of 5. So Sam Darnold also would be the one that I haven't mentioned yet.
Oh boy.
So Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and then Josh Rosen. So the 5 rookie quarterbacks from last year. The only reason I'll only give one position away in re-ranking them. The only reason I will have Rosen at 5 is just because we don't know if he's going to start and because he got traded teams. So like by default, I have to put him at 5. But as far as what I think the 5 quarterbacks are going to do, I think he's still right up there with 3, 4, and 5 on who's going to be the best out of that group.
Yeah.
I think the top 2 are locked. I think
Don't say.
Baker Mayfield. Well, we could say Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's locked.
giving him
I have
number
another
1.
lock in that list.
Give it a number
And
1.
it might surprise people, but there's one other quarterback that I have absolutely locked into that list.
Well, I'm gonna. Now, granted, his performance last year. Well, he had great performances last year, so I'll give you my number 2 from that class, though,
Yes.
for your Friday 5. But here's
Yeah.
my pick for number 2, and it is based simply on who he's got at running back now, and I'm going to throw Sam Darnold in there. I think him and Le'Veon are going to be nasty. I think.
See how look I just gave you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, I think the Jets are going to be. I think the Jets are honestly, truthfully, a little spooky.
I think he might be cracking the Friday 5 code.
Oh,
He
man.
might,
Just giving him somebody like. Because, okay, so.
He's dirty.
Sam didn't have a bad season. I mean, the Jets underperformed. But Sam Darnold had a pretty decent season. To me, he's still the future of that franchise. We said it last year that you just got to get pieces around him. He's a good quarterback, though. Josh McCown was really working with him. I think, and you saw glimpses here and there. Yeah, and we saw glimpses here and there of Sam Darnold being awesome. I just think he didn't have the pieces, man. He didn't have that line. He was getting beat up. I think throwing him somebody like Le'Veon Bell, who, by the way, went to training camp, who, by the way, has been at the stuff. He's been there. He's been around. I'm following him on Instagram, dude. He's there. He's wearing Jets clothing. He's a part of it. He's in it. I think Le'Veon Bell with him, I hate it. I hate seeing it. I want Le'Veon back. I want you back, baby.
I just want to see what they do at the receiver position this upcoming year for him.
Yeah.
Because what's awesome about Sam Darnold that none of the other quarterbacks can say, maybe Josh Rosen, or not Josh Rosen. I actually can't say this about any of them because although all the other quarterbacks are mobile, he's the only one who's that mobile and he just drops dimes while he's running. It's like it's very Brett Favre-esque, and I know people said it last year too, but like when he's running around, he's almost more accurate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's terrifying.
The Jets are going to be
People need to be scared. People need to be scared.
The Jets
we'll talk
are
about that
be...
in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When we do the AFC.
Yeah.
What would that be? The AFC North?
North. They're going to be one of my must-watch teams. We also need to, in the next few weeks here, so we had the Dolphins with Cutler. Last year we had the Browns with Baker.
We need our team.
Tyrod Taylor. This year we need to have a team. We need to have an adopted team. I don't want to go with Hard Knocks this year, though. I don't want to take the Raiders. #never Raiders.
#never Raiders. #Antonio Brown, please retire.
Yeah.
Just retire.
So we do need to choose a team. I have a few teams I think we could throw in there as contenders. One of them being the Jets. One of them being the Buffalo Bills.
You know me and the Buffalo Bills, baby.
I know.
That's my side team anyways.
Right. So I would say Jets, Bills. Also, I think we could pull from the vault and pull one of my side teams. I am genuinely rooting for the Lions this year because I want Matt Patricia and Matt Stafford to have a good season. I actually really do want them to have a good season.
Oh, I would prefer they both got diabetes, but
well, Matt Patricia might be there. Okay, so not the Lions.
But if we're just throwing teams in here willy nilly, I will say this: we should stick to the young quarterback thing or the
I
really
like
old
the.
quarterback thing.
I like
I
young
like
or
one
old.
or the other.
Yeah. So
Um,
no mid ground then.
but
Okay.
but listen to me on the ones I'm gonna throw in there. Dolphins, because we get both. We either get the Fitz magic, or
I
because we
considered them.
I'm gonna be rooting for Josh Rosen all year. I
Dude,
know we've already picked Miami once,
the
but
chosen
maybe
one.
we just adopt the Dolphins.
Dude, the chosen one of the chosen people is moved to a place that is predominantly chosen people. Like, it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect that he's there. A big old retirement community
Oh, yeah.
of a bunch of
Yeah,
old New York Jewish people. It's perfect.
yeah, it's a real mitzvah for him. I'll say
I
that.
love it.
But
Okay,
but
so
listen to my two
okay,
other teams that I'm
okay,
going to suggest.
okay,
Tennessee Titans, and here's why.
okay.
The Mariota Tannehill battle. I think no matter who wins it, if they end up being good, we all win.
Yeah, okay.
If one of them finally comes to fruition as a good quarterback, that's amazing, baby.
Okay.
That's dynamite, baby.
Okay.
Other team, same division. Good old Nicky Foles in Jacksonville, baby.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's see if he can win games
I have
outside of the Eagles
I have
organization.
the same teams. So as of right now, our contenders are Jacksonville, Miami, Tennessee,
Buffalo.
Buffalo, and New York Jets.
All AFC teams. We didn't. We don't. Me and you must just like. So my team's in the NFC because I'm a Falcons guy.
Yeah.
So like I can't even consider another NFC team as a side hustle. And I'm looking at the teams. Like I just went through the NFC and I'm like, you suck. You suck. I hate you. You're a piece of shit. You're garbage. Your parents should die. Like just all the way through the list.
I'll throw in one. I'll throw in one NFC team. The Kyler Murray experience down there in Arizona.
See, that's what I was hoping for. Let's get a young.
Okay.
Let's get the young squad in there.
So, Kyler Murray experience down there in Arizona. That could be a contender. We will select that. Maybe we should throw a poll up.
Maybe throw up Pretty Boy Garoppolo in the 49ers. Let's see if they can turn it around.
Okay, so I think we need to set something up to have our fans, our listeners, or supporters chime in. Who is going to be the official team of sports program for the 1920 season? We need a new team.
I'll make a graphic, and it'll have like the team, and then our reason why they're on the list, story-wise.
I love it.
So like it'll be like the Miami Dolphins, and then it'll be like Fitzmagic / Josh Rosen.
And I want to see that. I do want to see that. The Rosen one. I do want to see it. Would you say that this year it's tougher to choose our team? I mean, last year was kind of cut and dry. It was like Browns are traditionally.
They're on hard knocks. Yeah, you're right. They were on hard knocks. They had a compelling quarterback situation. Like who's going to win that job? They didn't win a single game the year before. Like it was just too easy.
Yeah. Also, I would also say that it'd be kind of funny for us to go Miami with Cutler and then the Browns and then Miami with Fitz, Magic, and the Rosen one.
Well, but also if you think about it, that year we just had a hard on for Jay Cutler.
It was actually just Jay Cutler.
We actually didn't adopt the Dolphins at all. Like maybe we say this is just year 2. Like we don't even count it as year 3.
I think you're right. Like we adopted Jay Cutler. We didn't
want the Dolphins to win. We just wanted Jay Cutler to not do bad.
No, whereas the teams that we're choosing right now, I genuinely would. I only rooted against the Browns when they played the Steelers. Otherwise, I took the Browns. This year, I genuinely want to see the Jets do good. I like Le'Veon Bell. I want him to be good. I like Sam Darnold. I want him to be good. So
what I really think it's going to come down to, if I had to narrow this list real quick, I think it'll come down to the Jets, the Dolphins, probably the Cardinals. Just out of pure interest. And then for me, that last 4th spot is a toss-up between the Bills and the Titans.
Yeah, Bills and Titans. Yeah.
Because I like both the stories. The Bills, I just don't feel like we have enough story there. I'm gonna root for them anyways.
Yeah, it is they are lacking a bit of a story right now, though. I mean, the story still being just Josh Allen. I still think he's gonna be great, though. So eventually, he'll be great. All right. Okay. Do you want to play your game? I think we can set this is a natural segue into playing your game.
Yes, but we should wrap this up real quick. Just for the record, did you have the Chiefs or the Chargers winning the AFC West?
This year, I have the Chargers winning the AFC West.
Agreed. And for the record, NFC West, do you have the Seahawks, 49ers, Rams, or Cardinals winning?
I have the Seahawks winning, sadly.
I am like almost in the exact same boat, but
I am going with my gut on the Seahawks, not with my heart.
I have the Seahawks making the playoffs as a wild card team, but I actually have the San Francisco 49ers winning the division. I think they both win 10 games.
Okay. I like it. I think we can at least agree. I didn't even have the Rams going to the playoffs this year.
So
I think they have a slump.
I was thinking of this game the other day because I realized Blaine Gabbert is now on his fourth team.
Yes.
In the NFL. Blake Bortles is also. I saw him out for a different team. He's a Ram now. Blake Bortles is
wow. Okay.
Is a Ram. Wow, that sounds weird to say. So I started thinking about this. Second contracts, with the same team. Which of these young quarterbacks will actually make it to their second big contract with the exact same team?
Okay.
So we're going to look at first and second and maybe a couple third-year quarterbacks, depending on if we have time.
Okay.
And just kind of see, do you think,
okay,
basically 5 years down the road, 3, 4, 5 years down the road,
that they make it to their next contract.
That they make it to this next contract with the exact same team that they're currently on.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we saying that?
Look at it this way. Yeah.
Are they renewing? Am I saying whether or not they renew another contract?
Yeah, basically, no. Basically, here's what I'm saying. Do you think they're going to be good enough to where they are still this team's franchise quarterback?
Okay.
Come next contract.
No,
so here's a great example.
Okay.
Josh Rosen's already on a different team. He didn't even make it past the 1 year of his team thinking he was the franchise guy. So,
right.
Starting with that. Originally, I had Baker Mayfield on this list. Let's throw him off because I don't think there's a chance in hell the Cleveland Browns don't have him.
I don't think they ever let him go. If he goes 8-8, if he goes 7-9 this season, he is their franchise quarterback next year again.
He will be there till he's 40 if he goes 8-8 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
They won't even.
Because it's not just about the win record with that team at this point. If they like him. He's representing the city. He's going to frickin' baseball games and wearing Lindor jerseys and shotgunning beers and wearing a mustache, man. He's fun. He's fun for that city. They are not getting rid of him. He is retiring a Brown. That's my opinion. Okay.
So, let's go next, son.
Okay.
Josh Allen. Still a Bill. I believe his next contract is 3 years down the road. Will they be bringing him back 3 years from now? Will he be good enough to still be a starting quarterback in the league 3 years from now?
Okay, so here's my concern with Josh Allen. And I said it last year, and I'm still going to stand by it. He is young and inexperienced in the aspect that he throws around his body weight, and he is going to get hurt again. Now, that's not to say he didn't learn from this last time, and I hope he keeps getting smarter. He needs to start seeing how other big guys play and stop throwing himself around like that. Because for an extra yard or two, it doesn't necessarily matter, especially if it's not a playoff game. So, that said, if he's not hurt and he has, I think if he could even go 500 or near, I think they could re-sign him. I think he could last his contract out. He needs to get some more pieces, though, for sure.
That's my major concern for him. Yes, the accuracy is bad. Yes, he takes risks, but if they don't start putting more talent around him, his numbers are just going to be so bad 3-4 years down the road that they're going to think he, is the problem, and they're going to get rid of him.
I've said it before. I want to see him go to the Steelers as a backup and follow Ben and learn how to play as a big quarterback. I've said it before. Yeah. I know it would never happen, but that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I just don't. So
Ben played that way too, though. You remember that?
I think
way more accurate.
I think down the road he will. This time, 3-4 years down the road, he will be in the same position as Blake Bortles and Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Tannehill. He will still be an NFL quarterback, but it will be for another team as a backup. Doesn't mean he won't ever get a shot at one point in his career, but that is where he will be. I think it's just because of the Bills' current situation.
Those ones you mentioned, though, I still feel like Tannehill had the most successful run, at least.
I agree, but I see him very
He
similar
shouldn't even
to
have
that.
been a starter. Probably.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's up in the air. I mean, it's kind of crazy. They took a guy who played like 1 year college quarterback, and then they were like, "You're the guy." But no, I honestly think, personally, I think Tannehill got a raw deal. Always have.
Yeah.
It was basically like he just lost his job because he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe I would be like kind of like what you said. I wouldn't be surprised if Allen went down the same path. Anyways, I don't think he does. Lamar Jackson.
No.
Nope. It'll be a fun experiment. 3 years down the road, they will have a quarterback who throws footballs, not runs them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think. I think he'll play with another team. It's not going to be that one though. It's not going to be the Ravens.
I could see him being a wide receiver 4 years down the road.
Sure. Yeah.
And trying and not being very good at it.
I'm excited to see the experiment, but no. I just don't think that the style works. And he's small. He's smaller than Cam Newton, and Cam Newton isn't doing it anymore. So
he's just I do think Cam Newton bounces back this year, but I agree he's just not the same situation.
No.
Let's go to the Redskins and go Dwayne Haskins. I know all we've seen of him is 1 week of rookie play quarterback, but I mean he might not even start for the Redskins this year. They said Colt McCoy is their starter.
Wow, Colt McCoy. I can't believe you just said that sentence out loud.
He's starting the year over Case Keenum and over Dwayne Haskins.
Glad to hear that Colt McCoy is starting. That's great. Cool. Good for him. No. In fact, I don't think they have any of those quarterbacks.
Dwayne Haskins reminds me of a Mark Sanchez situation where coming out of college, they're like, he's smart and he's got a good arm. And I think that'll keep him in the league for a long time. Like Mark Sanchez just retired like a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I think it'll keep him in the league. But this one's a really hard one for me as far as will he still be the guy. He seems really smart. I will say that.
Yeah.
I think he can learn. And the thing is, him compared to these other rookie quarterbacks this year, is his arm is just so much better. So
he could end up being a really successful backup, though.
I think he ends up. I'm gonna actually say yes. I think he'll be the Redskins quarterback, even like 5 years down the road. I will say yes, but I don't think. I think he's a slow starter. I think it takes time.
Is it official then? Is Alex Smith gonna retire, or do we know?
No, he said he wants to come back in a year's time, but I think it'll probably have to be either as a backup for them and I don't think they would want that. I think he'll come back and have to play for a different team.
I feel bad for him. Honestly,
it would be cool if, in my opinion, Alex Smith or Colt McCoy won the starting job for years to come. But that's just because I like both of them.
So do I.
Dwayne Haskins just got put into a situation where I'm not going to root for him.
Yeah.
But tough titties, bud.
Right.
New York Giants. They have that Daniel Jones guy.
Uh-huh.
And he actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Game 1. I mean, it was a bunch of safe balls, but I don't know. How do you feel about him?
I think he starts this year eventually.
I do too. I think he wins it this year.
I think,
even though they're saying that's not going to happen.
No, it's going to happen. They're going to pull Eli at some point. I think Eli goes winless in the first maybe 3 or 4 games.
And then they pull him.
And then they'll pull him. If he can get some wins out of there, sure, we'll delay it. But if Eli Manning is winless in 3 or 4 games, they will pull him. They're not going to keep. The fans will tear down that stadium if he is playing still. So, no. Do I think that he is the next big thing for that team? No, I think that was a bust. I think that was a draft bust.
I think everyone booed it, and we all kind of realized it.
Yeah. It was a bad idea.
I
Bad
don't
call.
want to switch to like everyone else on TV. All of a sudden, is switching to the hype train on him.
Yeah.
Because he did have 5 good passes.
It's a preseason game.
I
Yeah.
still think I still just don't think his arm's strong enough. I think I get the Peyton Manning comparisons because he trained with Peyton Manning and
Sure.
he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he puts the ball where it needs to be. I think he's going to be a guy who's in the NFL for a very long time. He reminds me of Matt Castle.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But that's where I see him as a quarterback. So that's why I'm surprised he was the 6th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Is because he's Matt Castle, not the
Right.
6th pick of the draft. I think he's in the league 10 years from now.
Sure.
I don't know if he's the New York Giants starting quarterback.
Might be a good backup somewhere.
I'll throw one more young person in there, and then I got a couple actually surprises that I wasn't thinking about beforehand. Kyler Murray. That's the hardest one.
Yes. Yep. I'm gonna go with the risky one and say yes. I think he can be successful in Arizona. But here's why though. I'll actually give you a why. Whereas Jackson, I don't think he will be a success story in Baltimore. Kyler Murray does have a better arm though. He does have more accuracy.
He's pass first.
He does pass. He's not just a guy who takes the ball and runs. He can be mobile, but he is a pass first guy, and if he can be good at passing like he was in college, I think he can be good. He's at least gonna have a good rookie season, I think.
Oh, I think he's gonna. Yeah, I think they're gonna be so different that they're going to win games and have success just off the fact that they're not doing what other people are used to seeing. But also, I think having David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald is going to be huge. I don't think they have a ton around him as far as options go yet, but I think they'll build around him. My concern isn't his skill at all. I think he is definitely good enough to be an NFL starting quarterback. Yeah. My problem is that it's the whole like Michael Vick thing. Like when you're that little, how many hits can you actually take? And that's not even just from him running. Like he's going to be getting sacked by NFL players.
Yeah.
And it's going to wear on him eventually. I think he'll be an NFL player. I think he'll make it to his second contract because I think he's going to be good.
Okay.
But not even looking at 5 years from now, but 10 years from now, I would be overall concerned if his body's just completely worn down to the position because he's going to be little and he's going to lose that mobility and he's going to get dinged up a lot from getting hit by big NFL players. So I think he makes the second contract. I don't think even 8 years from now he's relevant in the NFL, though.
Okay. Fair.
But, yeah, I do think he makes that second contract for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to pepper in some people for fun now.
Okay.
I just cuz. One, just because we mentioned it earlier, Derek Carr.
Who's his backup?
Is he? It doesn't matter who his backup is. Do you think he's going to be the Raiders quarterback even by the end of this contract?
I'm trying to figure out who his backup is because I want to decide if he even makes it through this season.
Let's see. I know one of his backups is. Well, they went and got McCarron last year, but I don't think McCarron's his backup this year. I can't remember. I just saw it like yesterday. God, I can't remember.
I'm gonna go
figure it out.
On Derek Carr. As much as I think, if it was me, I'd keep him because I do think he is good enough to keep as your starter and a franchise quarterback. I don't think that John Gruden wants him though. I think John Gruden does a really good job of saying that's who he wants, but I think John Gruden would love to have somebody else in there.
Oh, it's Mike Glennon, and Mike Glennon's absolutely terrible. He sucks. So yeah,
Derek
they have Glennon in the Peterman, Nathan Peterman.
Okay.
So
well, he makes it through this season then, barring any injury. That's good.
I think this season's gonna be smooth for him, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he makes it to the next contract though, or past that.
Yeah. So I do. I think he actually ends up having a good enough season this year to where he's not going to be the problem, and they will probably put that to bed. but
I hope he
that's just my
does.
opinion.
I like him.
I mean,
I
but
just worry about the John Gruden factor in there because
that's the biggest thing.
yeah, I mean, I even this off season, you know, was open about being interested in Kyler Murray and stuff. So
Right.
that's where my concern comes in, is that John Gruden doesn't seem to really have any loyalty toward his franchise quarterback.
Well,
So,
not if he didn't pick him. You know
right,
what I mean? Not if
exactly.
he didn't draft him. And he also seems like a guy that even if he did draft him, if he sees the
Yeah.
new hot thing on the market, he's gonna make a move.
Well,
So
yeah. What's that? The kid who played for Clemson. What's his name? He'll be number 1 this year.
not this year.
Not this year. Next.
That'll be next year. He's only a
Oh, that's
he's
right.
only a true freshman.
Okay.
So he can't.
Can't. So our surfer
can't come out yet.
boyfriend will be in a couple years.
Yeah.
So he'll
That's
be a
Trevor
number 1.
Lawrence. That's another year away.
Okay. Okay.
So this year's going to be
Tua.
It's a two-way race between Tua and Justin Herbert from the University of Oregon.
Okay.
Great draft class. This is going to be
Yeah, it is.
because the thing is, Justin Herbert could have came out this year and like probably would have gotten drafted over Dwayne Haskins. So that would have ended up being the Redskins quarterback instead,
Yeah. Okay.
or the Giants quarterback, or one of them. So I think very similar to what the Cardinals did this last year, where they're like, you know what, we were wrong. We don't want Josh Rosen. We want this other guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of these teams with one of the young quarterbacks that we just mentioned
Yeah.
goes, you know what, never mind. We want Tua. Obviously, the big one to
Giants.
kind of note, is either the Giants or I feel like the Dolphins didn't risk too much going and getting Josh Rosen. So
what
by
if
the end
they
of the
did
year,
it
they're
to
not.
him again? Oh man.
If they're not comfortable with Josh Rosen, it probably happens to him twice.
Oh,
He's probably the most
God.
likely candidate. Because think about who else they went out and got. They went out and got Fitzpatrick and
They
him.
did.
They set this up for them to make a move on Tua or Justin.
Oh jeez.
Or give Josh Rosen 2 years and then make a move on Trevor Lawrence 2 years from now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
you're
kind of
right.
set up to go either way.
All
I
right.
had to throw in Derek Carr in there just because I wanted to know your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some other ones I could pepper in there,
Sure.
but I probably won't just because I don't want to be mean.
No, I think that was a good game. That was a good game. I like it when you come with those. Well, we only got a few minutes left. We've already gone quite a bit, but let's talk about some SummerSlam stuff. I want to talk about some of the cards.
Oh, we could go all night, baby.
I want you to tell me of these cards. We've talked about it a little bit on texting.
Agreed.
Who so the card tonight, I'll kind of list them off here. But you got the Universal Championship. That's Brock Lesnar defending against Seth Rollins. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch against Natalya Neidhart. WWE Champion Kofi Kingston against Randy Orton.
God, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, yes. WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus returning against Charlotte Flair. Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. That storyline is very good.
I know that's your favorite right now. Real
Yeah.
quick though, you don't think they're gonna set Charlotte up for a loss here, right? That just seems weird.
No, I doubt it.
I don't see how you could bring Trish back and have Charlotte lose to her.
Yeah. SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley against Ember Moon, and I think that one is actually very intriguing. And then actually this one doesn't have it on here, but Goldberg is back to do, I believe, a redemption match against Dolph Ziggler. I think it'll be, I'll say it now, I think it's a squash match. Goldberg had that horrific self-injury, at Super Showdown with The Undertaker. A couple good learning experiences from the Super Showdown is I hope they finally have learned you cannot have these two old guys fighting each other anymore. You need to have a younger and an old. Case in point, last month's pay-per-view, you had The Undertaker teaming up with Roman Reigns to fight Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. And Drew McIntyre did a really good job of kind of holding up the dead man and letting him, when he goes to get chokeslammed, Drew McIntyre is young enough to jump to take the chokeslam,
Right.
to sell. So I think we're seeing that like we're not going to see any more of these legends versus legends matches. We're going to see more like legends versus new guy.
They're just
Because
so boring, man. They're
man,
so boring.
they're slow. Man, that one with Undertaker and Goldberg, man, it was tragic. A couple of the other matches though that were not listed, AJ Styles and Ricochet. That's gonna be a high flyer, fun match. Even though I'm not an AJ Styles guy.
Neither am I.
And then Finn Balor is fighting a returning Bray Wyatt, who, by the way, looks cut, man. That guy has put some work in. Him and Kevin Owens, actually. The two chubbiest guys on the roster have lost
Yeah.
quite a bit of weight, and they look great. So, I mean, I think So, I'll lead off with, you've already kind of said it. My favorite on the card tonight is honestly, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, and that's Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, and that's based on the storyline they've been leading in. I typically don't like it when Shane McMahon is leading on a card because that's just taking away time from other people that should be fighting. But they are doing this thing. I mean, Kevin Owens is using the Stone Cold Stunner. They're doing like this old Vince versus Stone Cold thing, but it's now Shane and Kevin Owens. It's a great storyline. That's going to be awesome. Also, Shane will do some crazy shit. He'll do some
He's
crazy,
always down to do something
stupid,
weird.
nasty, weird, ridiculous bump. And so will Kevin Owens. I think that'll be a fun match. How about you go ahead and lead me off with your favorite for the day?
I mean, I'm always going to pick a Seth Rollins fight every time. I know it's not like there's not this amazing build-up storyline to it because is there ever with Brock Lesnar?
No.
But it's going to be fun.
Brock,
and have they done this before?
Yes. And Brock,
that's what I thought.
They did at WrestleMania and Seth
early,
Rollins,
and I missed it.
And Brock and Seth Rollins, they actually have a really great chemistry. I actually really like it when they do like these David and Goliath matches where it's a big guy who can throw you around, and Seth Rollins can reverse stuff by doing flips. And I mean, I actually think that's gonna be a great match. I don't think it'll be long, but I think it'll be a good match.
I agree. It wasn't the one at WrestleMania pretty short too.
Pretty short. Yep. So that one's gonna be a great one. Okay. The final match I am the most excited for. Not big on the Becky Lynch and Natalya Neidhart one. I'm just no. I don't know.
I think we're gonna have the same. I think we're gonna have the same final one though.
Yeah. Yeah. My big one, and you sent me this link to this article from Bleacher Report about it.
And I was saving this one for both of us to talk about.
Kofi Kingston against Randy Orton. Both of them are veterans of the league. They have great chemistry together. The Kofi Kingston story of being champion, though, Bleacher Report actually, maybe we can link to it too. Bleacher Report actually a great article about Kofi being the champion and going back to his home country in Africa and showing off that belt and, just showing what they could do. Man, that's just so cool.
I thought it was awesome.
I think Kofi probably wins. I think he'll probably retain. Mostly just because I think Randy's really good at being a heel enough, and I think he's proven time and time again that he's really okay with selling somebody else. I think if Randy Orton won, you could probably see it go back to Kofi, maybe in a couple months even. But
I agree with that.
But I do think that Randy Orton will probably lose it. I think he's... a lot of people used to talk about how Triple H will bury everybody. But if you watch all the biggest WrestleMania matches, when Triple H is a heel, he loses.
Agreed.
He
that's
puts
true.
over big guys, and that's what Randy has kind of turned into now. I mean, he had the WrestleMania with him and Batista against Daniel Bryan, and they let Bryan win, Like, that's going to be... Mm-hmm. So... I mean, I think
doesn't make sense in the real world.
God, no. That card, I think the card today though is pretty cool. The Becky Lynch one, I'm kind of soft on, just because
why are you not excited for this? Is what I want to know.
Well, I think first off, I as much as I like traditionally, I like Natalya Neidhart. She's a legacy. I think she is a little stale though after all these years. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Natty maybe retire within the next 4 or 5 years. I
Hmm.
just think her persona, it can't evolve any further than where it is. She's doing that thing. Do you remember a few years ago where when the Big Show was still on regular TV, and one week he would be a heel, like a monster heel, and the next week he'd be a face who's like getting emasculated by Stephanie McMahon and making him cry in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, he
And
was a big softy out of nowhere, and you're like,
yeah,
that doesn't hold up for a week ago when you were murdering people.
yeah, and then the next week he comes out and he does like a weapon of mass destruction. His big old punch, he does like a punch to like Ric Flair and turns heel, and you're like, what is going on here? Well, Natalia is like they're doing this thing with her where they're making her seem like badass and tough, and she is badass and tough. But then when they had her feuding with the Riot Squad a couple months ago, they had her crying after every loss, like literally sitting in the middle of the ring and crying after losing. And I just feel like that story has gotten the Natty story itself is a little stale. The other part of that I feel like is a little stale. And while I do love Becky Lynch. I honestly really do. For one thing, I
It's
think
hard not to, yeah.
she's a total babe. For one thing, she's a great technical wrestler. I actually have gone a little soft on the whole the man gimmick. I
I'm over that.
she uh she's been coming out on Mondays and doing this man thing, and how her mannerisms and how she's acting is super I mean I hate to just throw out the term, but it's super cringe inducing. It's very it feels very forced. It's just very like, I'm a badass, I'm the man, and you gotta beat the man, and it's like and it's just ugh. So I'm over the gimmick. There was a while there too where her and Seth Rollins are romantically involved in real life now, and now we all know that. And they had them doing a storyline.
Yeah.
Would pay money to watch that tape. They, but they
Me
had
too.
their stories kind of crossing over for a little bit there, and I didn't like that. Man, that felt just. I didn't like it. So I'm soft on it. I think Becky wins because I don't think they would have her lose her belt to Natty Neidhart. I think they're trying to figure out the next step for Becky.
Hmm.
And I think it's actually somebody who's in NXT right now, who's a UFC fighter or was Shayna something. I can't
Hmm.
remember her name. I think she steps up and probably becomes the next threat. It's a shame. Can't believe I'm saying it, but it's a shame that that Ronda went away when she did, because maybe we could have got another month out of that at least.
And I think that's what people wanted.
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to bring another MMA person into it. I was actually going to bring up to you. Did you know that Becky Lynch has trained quite a bit of MMA?
I did know that, but I only knew it recently because there was a few other MMA people that were talking about it.
Yeah. So John Kavanaugh, who is the one of the most famous coaches because he trains Conor McGregor, she trains with him,
Yeah,
and
that's
he's
cool.
like, I'm not going to say she's the best, but he's just like, she is crazy. Like, she will try anything. She's
Yeah,
like fearless. He's like, and so on Ara Helwani's show, they just straight up asked him like, do you think she could do this? And he goes, absolutely.
that's
I'm
cool.
not saying I'm not saying she'd win every fight. She wouldn't go in there and maybe be Ronda for a couple whatever. But he genuinely believes like, yeah, she could probably go to like Bellator, maybe not the UFC, and
Well,
beat up
she's
some chicks. Like,
one
I'd
thing I
love to
would
see it.
one thing that would help her is she's a little younger than Punk though, starting out, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, how old is Becky Lynch?
She's in her 20s, I believe, late 20s, 28 maybe.
So
Um,
we're starting to see these. And I never thought I'd see the day. I think you've alluded to it for a while now, but the lines are starting to get a little blurred.
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think
But
so. Well, and so AEW is coming on TV soon here too.
well, who's picking that up? Like USA or?
TNT. Freaking Turner is.
Oh, that's right. We talked
Can
about
you
that. That's
believe
right.
that?
Makes sense.
Can you believe that they're picking up? Man, if Ted Turner was alive, do you think he would have said yes? I'm sure he would have in a heartbeat. Um, so
Wouldn't that be
yeah,
like? Were they the ones who had WCW?
yes, they were. Oh, she's 32. Um, yeah, they had WCW. They were on. It was on. Um, it might have been TNT or TBS, but it was Turner. It was TBS, Turner Broadcasting System.
Yeah.
So
Were you a WWE or WCW person at the
I was a
time?
WCW person in the
Me too.
beginning.
Only.
I was a WCW person in the beginning of NWO and then
Yeah.
Goldberg and Sting.
Right.
I started switching over to WWE when actually everybody else started, and that's when,
Yeah.
as WWE started going Attitude Era and Stone Cold started becoming more predominant, I started making the change because I felt like it was a little more fresh. But it was hit or
Agreed.
miss. We can talk about how great the Attitude Era was, but there was a lot of real trash can storylines that came out of that era too. For
And
every
just some really cringy wrestlers
yeah,
too.
that's what I mean. For every Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yeah.
you also had Mae Young giving birth to a hand. You also had Val Venus, who was supposed to be a porn star. You had yeah, for every Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania, single-handedly one of the best feuds in WWE ever is The Rock and Stone Cold. Where you watch the promo and it's Limp Bizkit, which is ridiculous, but actually that promo is still so good. Um, for every promo of that, you have Val Venus uh, sleeping with Ken Shamrock's sister, and that's a feud. You know, for
Yeah.
every for every Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Undertaker in the Ministry of Darkness, you have the Godfather turning into the Good Father and joining the Right to Censor and covering up women with towels and censored signs. That's stupid. For every Triple H versus The Rock, one of the best runs of a heel and face, man, just so good. For every one of those, you have the Blue Meanie and ICP in wrestling. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's hit or miss. The Attitude Era was, but and realistically, the product that's coming out now, while the ratings aren't as good, we are seeing more of the reality era though, where they are letting us see into a lot of the characters' lives. Now, granted, we have Bray Wyatt, who is doing the Firefly Funhouse, kind of like Mr. Rogers, and then when he wrestles, he wears a mask that looks like a combination of the Joker from the New 52, where he's wearing the mask over his face that's just his
Yeah.
skin. And it looks like a combination of that and then the lead singer of Slipknot. It's not good.
Oh God. No,
Um,
that's not
so
good.
forever, so you still have like mythical creatures like that, which is like obviously he's playing a character still, and like we know. But then on the other end of that, you also have Mike the Miz, who has a show on USA called Miz and
Right.
Mrs., and you get to see his real life. And even if he's playing a heel on TV, you see that when you watch his show, he's kind of a funny guy and he's just kind of a normal dude. And he married somebody who's French and likes really fine things, and he's a cheapskate. Like you get to see that. Like you get to see on the WWE network, you get to watch all of the documentaries about all these people and see how they started wrestling, and you know that their names weren't actually, you know, what was Dave Batista's name when he first started? It was something stupid. He was like a vampire too. It was
Oh
stupid.
God, I can't remember.
And then
It was bad.
eventually he became Batista. He's used his name. So I think we're getting more into the reality era, and I think that's where those lines with like UFC really start to get blurred. Now,
Well,
especially.
I don't know if you're familiar with who Colby Covington is, but he is like the most hated by a lot, like not even close, most hated UFC fighter. He is the one who he wears a Make America Great Again hat before and after he leaves the octagon.
I've seen the picture.
And yeah, and not only that, but like Matt Hughes a few years ago, one of like the all-time greats at 170 pounds, got hit by a freaking train in his truck and like almost died. And he literally like made a joke about it 2 weeks ago after he won. He was just like, this guy just learned the same lesson Matt Hughes learned from that train. So when the train's coming, you got to get off the tracks.
Good
and
God.
So yeah.
But he's a real heel.
Anyway,
he's drawing some real heel energy though.
yeah, but I watched it, and I do think he's an absolutely like horrible person. But sometimes I question if he's just playing it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like he's understood, because I've also watched interviews where he says, you know, I'm the most hated fighter in the UFC, and then other people love me. He's like, either way, because I'm both of those things. He's like, I'm the person people are paying the ticket for, you know? Like, and he understands that.
Yeah.
He's awful. I genuinely do hate him. I'm on that board where I'm like, there's even if this dude's faking it, he's faking it so well that he's like the worst person ever.
Yeah.
But regardless, I watched an interview last Monday of him, and he just basically admitted, like, yeah, I'm literally in discussion right now, because he's like, I know I'm still young, and a lot of people do this after they retire from one, but he's like, I want to go back and forth between WWE and
why
UFC.
the hell not? Oh man,
and he's like, he could play the exact same character.
He could
could just be himself.
Well, especially with the Make America Great Again thing, Donald Trump is in the goddamn WWE Hall of Fame celebrity wing. I mean, he could play with that. People would hate it.
Yeah, so he fought 2 weeks ago, and all of Trump's sons came and watched the event, and Donald Trump's tweeting him good luck before and after, calls him after he wins, like all that kind of stuff. You know they would just milk that
Absolutely.
on WWE.
I would.
So I think that's like the right outlet for him, because he can milk that on a week-to-week basis as opposed to fighting in the UFC every 4 to 5 months.
And make so much money. Make so much money.
And I think he sees that. I don't know if the dude could do any mic work at all, besides for just all he says in the UFC is, I'm making the 170-pound division great again. Like, he just basically says that shit.
Well,
time.
but that's a simple thing. You pair him up with Paul Heyman. You just say he's another Paul Heyman guy, just like Brock is, because UFC and stuff. You just do the same thing,
right?
And then you just make. Man, imagine if he was in a stable with Brock Lesnar. Oh my God. That'd be ridiculous. Then eventually have them feud. Man, that'd be fun. I should be a writer.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. They need to sign you.
Sign me up. I don't want to go through a table or anything, but I'll write for your show. Hey, everybody. Thank you again for listening to the show. We will be back again next Sunday, probably. Think so? Oh, yeah. We'll figure it out. Next Sunday, SummerSlam starts at 4 o'clock Pacific time. So, was that 5 for you down there? Or is that
5 for me?
5 for you. In the meantime, I will be working on this episode real quick, and I want to get it up. So, get it up.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'll be working on that as soon as I get off here. No, I'm actually not BSing that. I'm going to work on this because I wanted to have it before I go to the show.
I'm excited that you're going to watch it. I'm going to be excited here watching it. I'll probably be texting you while it's happening.
Oh, yeah. Ditto. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. Tune in Wednesdays to KLCZ 88.9 to listen to LC Sports Talk. That's what we went with. LC Sports Talk. I'll be working with Alicia Alexander, and we'll have Kyle Fergus on next week, and we're just going to be talking about the upcoming LCSE sports seasons with literally every sport that's going to be happening on campus. Those shows are about 30 minutes long. You can also find them on Facebook on KLCZ's page. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Quack Swan, at Derek on TSPN, Sports on TSPN, and of course TSPN Media. Find everything at timespentpoorly.fun, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Seriously, if you want to listen to us, there is a way to do it. Thank you, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Next week we'll figure out more closely what football team will be the official team of sports program. And we'll talk more about Pigskin Pick'em, which will be coming up.